Alright guys, today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite and least favorite decks ever, and that's Red Card Lock. I have like such a love-hate relationship with this deck, because it was one of my babies that I really tried to get to work, and it's gone through so many different iterations, but it's just bad, and this build is not great. There are some things that I missed in this build that I'll talk about. For instance, like there's no counter catcher and there's no power hand extension, and both of those cards super need to be in this deck in order to get it to work. But pretty much the gist of this deck is that you're going to try to get your opponent's hand size down to 0 and then control their top decks with Slowking. Now, one of the greatest parts about this deck was that when Porygon Z was in format, it was really easy to Porygon Z them and then either red card them, Mars Shadow them, something that's going to shuffle their hand and draw 4, so that it shuffle their draw support back in, like Claydol, Porygon, that sort of thing. And then after you play the red card, you then Delinquent and Claw Snag with Weavile, right? So Delinquent's going to put them down to 1 card, Claw Snag puts them down to 0 cards, and then you control their top deck with Second Sight Slowking. Well, now since Porygon Z isn't in effect, we need a different way to prevent them from Cosmic Powering, because they're most likely turn 1 going to Spiritomb into Claydol, and then you just lose, because even if you get their hand size down to 0, they'll draw and just Cosmic Power and do all their stuff, right? So that's why one of the most important cards in this new list is Cessation Crystal. So what you end up doing is you put Cessation Crystal on the newly put in Diggersby here, right? So you do the combo where you red card them Delinquent, Claw Snag, or red card Delinquent, Lass, or there's a lot of different like ways you can get the combo off. You do all that, retreat into Diggersby with Cessation Crystal on, and you use Pickup, which says to put 2 item cards back into your hand, and you get a switch back, or some way to get out of the active, a switch or something like that, and something that you just need, right? Something like a Devo Spray to get a card out of their hand, or a Trick Shovel. Isn't Trick Shovel in here? Yeah, Trick Shovel to discard the top card of their deck. Something to shuffle their deck. You know, you have a lot of different options, but you get back Switch and whatnot. And the reason that you get back Switch is so you can switch into a Pokemon that doesn't have Cessation Crystal, do all your abilities. Something like a Mime Jr., right? That's something that's got free retreat. Mime Jr., Crobat G, Weavile, something with a Floatstone. Play Switch into that, do all of your abilities, Second Sight them, and then retreat back into Diggersby and pick up Switch and something else, right? And that's how you kind of lock them out of game, and you hopefully will get enough cards. You just kind of mill them, right? You just kind of mill them. There are ways that you can Mime Jr. them, and like you could play a Lost World with this deck if they don't have a Claydol out anyways. Then you can use Mime Jr. and do some cool stuff, but that strategy is not really that great because you want to be using Pickup every turn. So yeah, that's just kind of how the deck works. Like, you're just going to try to lock them out of game, mill them out of resources, hopefully make sure that they just don't have anything, and win from there. Granted, that strategy is very hard to get, and like I said, without Porygon Z, it's almost impossible to set up. With the new Morty coming out, like, that doesn't even help it that much either, because there's already great ways to get your opponent down to 0 cards in hand. So, like, man, I just don't know. Like, there's this deck, I love it, and I hate it, and I love it, and it's super fun when you get the lock off to, like, sit there and control your opponent for a really long time, but it's U150, and there's so many broken cards that if they have 3 cards on the top with Second Sight, it's really hard to get out of that. I mean, that's why Shout Out G is in the deck, right? So that you use Second Sight, rearrange the top 3, realize that, like, you know, they're hitting Juniper, and Colress on the top 3, and you're like, well, crap, like, I can't have them have any of that. So then you play something to shuffle their deck, like a Lass or something, and then you play Shout Out G to Disrupting Spy, and hopefully you put some bad cards on the top, and then you keep milling from there. But yeah, like, that's just like their best option. Like, there's so many ways out of this deck lock, and basically your opponent's just going to draw pass until they get a good card, and then they're going to go off, because once they pop off and kill your Diggersby, now you have all this other stuff to set back up, or they kill your Slowking, or they kill something. Like, so that's why I don't like the deck. It's in the tournament. If you haven't seen how it did in the tournament, that's not a really big surprise that the 32nd seed got bopped by both opponents. So this is not a deck I ever recommend. It's fun, and if you have a better way of building it, then go for it. But it's just not good. Like, it's just straight up not good. It'll lose to normies. It'll lose, maybe not. Like, a random person that brings a U150 deck to a tournament that doesn't really know how to play might not have their deck built to combat this. But it's still bad. So, anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or anything, let us know. If not, have a great rest of your day.